Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about the Scarlett Johansson Disney situation again. An interesting wrinkle that it's being reported that the Russo Brothers will never come back to Marvel because of the lawsuit between Scarlett Johansson and Disney, that they were very soured on Disney's treatment of her. And you have to wonder how many celebrities, even if they haven't publicly shown support for Scarlett Johansson, how many celebrities are looking at Disney right now and being like, yeah, pass, because you break your contracts.
They've already pissed everybody else off, so let's go after Hollywood too.
Let's piss off Hollywood, yeah. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how the Disney must pay writers, which we've talked about before, that apparently Disney's trying to get out of its contracts elsewhere, that they're teaming up with or supporting Scarlett Johansson as well. Of course they are. You're my enemy of my enemy.
Well, Hollywood isn't going to look at this too kindly either, because they wouldn't announce what she got paid, which is like a big no-no. And I mean, that's one of the things that was understood. You don't talk about that. People don't want that out there. And then they just went and threw it out there. That's not making people happy either.
Yeah, that was a huge miscalculation. I think they were trying to get public support. Disney was trying to get, like, poor Mickey's being robbed blind by this nasty woman. She just wants more money. She already got $20 million, everybody.
It's a callous disregard for the pandemic.
Callous disregard. And, regardless of whether or not you think she's overpaid, I mean, that's a hell of a lot of money, right, for anybody. But a contract's a contract.
Right.
It doesn't matter. If they agreed to pay her $100 million and they only paid her $99 million, they're still $1 million short.
Well, you better believe that they come after somebody else if they didn't honor their contract.
Oh, absolutely. Every cent. Disney will shake you down for every cent you owe them.
They spent so much on lawyers, it's ridiculous.
So we're going to talk about that. Before we get into any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 234,000 subs.
Woohoo!
Thank you so much for the support. And I hope our American listeners enjoy their Labor Day weekend. The last hurrah of summer. There we go. So anyway, IGN, the Russo Brothers might not direct another MCU movie due to Black Widow lawsuit. They're reportedly concerned with how a new MCU movie from them would be released. Well, yeah. Now, they did the Captain America movies. They did Endgame. Actually, I would say the Russo Brothers are probably their most financially successful
So this is about Disney Plus. They wouldn't want.
They're concerned. And a
lot of people are.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to be concerned. And again, you're going to have a lot of celebrities that maybe aren't, voicing public support, but privately they're like, hell no, I'm not renewing my contract with Disney, or hell no, I'm not going to take a Disney deal because look what they did to Scarlett Johansson.
Well, it seems too that with their Disney Plus deals, they're not doing these like contracts like 5 or 6 movies that they used to be. Since Disney Plus came up after a lot of these contracts were signed, it's very gray area. Now, Disney did the same thing to Bill Nye the Science Guy, and then they won. We saw them go after the Predator people and do what they did with their copyright and all that. So, I mean, Disney does some underhanded shit. I'm sorry, but they do.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about the Disney must pay, because a lot of writers, novelists and, comic book writers are still trying to chase Disney down, shake them down for money, because they owe a lot of people a lot of money.
I love it. None of these people cared much when they screwed over like Bill Nye and that. But now that it's one of them and they announced the salary and everything else, now they'll all say something. Yeah.
So due to the lawsuit and how Black Widow was released, now this is coming from, it's IGN, but they got from Wall Street Journal and Screen Rant. Due to the lawsuit and how Johansson was paid as a result, the Russo Brothers and Disney have reportedly hit an impasse in negotiations for their Marvel Cinematic Universe return. And I gotta wonder, because there are rumors of Secret Wars being the next big event.
Oh, yeah, they mentioned that.
Yeah.
No, I thought these guys said they were going to take a break from the MCU for a while.
Well, they took their break.
Because I thought they weren't coming back for a while anyway. So that's why I was like...
Well, Secret Wars, if that's what they're doing next, that could be several years. That could be 5 years away, According to the Wall Street Journal, the Black Widow lawsuit has the directing duo questioning how a new MCU movie from them would be released and how they would be paid for it. No details were revealed about what their MCU return would be, but the brothers have been quite open about their interest to do Secret Wars. Yeah. Who knows if that was the movie they were in negotiations to direct or not, but it seems that even if they were, such return is off the table. After the release of Black Widow, Johansson's legal team announced that it was suing Disney over a contract breach. And they go into the details, but yeah, it does seem like Disney is not going to be scoring points with other people in Hollywood. And again, it's just like PR disaster after PR disaster. And, I think Disney thinks because they're the biggest player that if you want to play ball, you gotta play with the mouse's balls. Something like that. I don't know. But, there are other options. Lots of other streaming services. Lots of other studios. People are doing independent projects. You don't have to play ball with Mickey.
No, here's the thing, though. These people, they tend to think that only if you're doing a theatrical release is it worth your time. And I don't know if that's necessarily the case, because there's a lot of big movies that are released on streaming platforms that probably reach more people than they would have in the box office. And I think sometimes, you're shorting yourself by not agreeing to doing some of those sometimes. But, I guess in this case, because her take was going to be based on the box office, that could be up to $50 million.
$50 million, yeah. So that's a pretty good chunk of change. It doesn't matter. Again, it doesn't matter if you think she's overpaid. A deal is a deal.
Right.
And, she apparently tried to renegotiate when it became obvious that they weren't going to.
Well, they were supposed to get with her and her people and make some kind of agreement because they were going to change the deal. And you can't just change the deal unless everybody agrees. And they didn't do that. Allegedly, apparently, maybe.
Yeah, and this, you got to wonder, were there discussions behind the scenes before the movie was released? Like they offered to settle, like, hey, we'll give you an extra $10 million. They kind of did that with Gal Gadot.
They did with Wonder Woman.
Yeah, they gave her like an extra $10 million or something. But, this is Scarlett Johansson. This is an Avengers spinoff. She stood to make a lot more money.
It already cost her the Tower of Terror movie.
Yeah.
That she was I think she was going to produce it and she was going to star in it. It already cost, I know.
But who gives a shit about the Tower of Terror?
I'm just like, it's already cost her some stuff. So even if other people were going to come after them, they're not because they're afraid of the backlash. But meanwhile, this is what's funny to me because I relate to this. They all want someone to be out there and call it out and stand up for it. But then they don't want to come out and publicly back her up because they're afraid they'll get in trouble too.
Yeah.
And we've lived that so many times.
Yeah, on a much, much smaller scale, that's how it works in comics, too. A lot of people support the people in comics that are getting canceled, but they won't publicly voice support because they know they won't get called.
Oh, I know people watch us all the time, and there's a lot of people in Hollywood that I know that watch us,
yeah.
and they won't ever follow us publicly or say anything because they're afraid if they do, they'll get canceled. So it's like, yeah, you tell them as we hide behind you, and that's kind of why I feel like poor Scarlett Johansson. She's probably it's probably screwed her from doing anything because someone had to stand up. And everybody else is going to, silently be like, you go, while they go on to their deals. You go fight our battles, and then we'll reap the rewards. And that does happen. It happens a lot with, YouTubers, too. We get a lot of people that are, like you said, go get them. Until you don't agree with something they like or they don't like, and then they harass you, too. And they effing turn on you. See the Shang-Chi video, for example. Turn on you. It's just interesting, though, the Russo brothers are actually supposedly coming out and backing her up as well. And then you said that the writers group was doing it too. Yeah, so this was a couple days ago that the Disney writers, now the Disney Must Pay, we talked about that. I know that Alan Dean Foster kind of kicked that situation off where he wasn't getting royalties from Disney, and there were other writers not getting their royalties from Disney, and then all hell broke loose, and a bunch of people started comparing notes, and it turned out that there were comic book publishers and other publishing outfits associated with Disney that weren't paying either. And, Neil Gaiman threw in with them and was like, it doesn't affect me, but you guys need to get paid. And this is Disney we're talking about. Well, it doesn't affect them now, but it could down the road, Yeah. And they said it was set a dangerous precedent that when you buy out a company and there's contracts, if you don't have to honor those contracts, there's a lot of people who wouldn't get paid. And it'd be like you could actually take your company and sell it to another subsidiary and then say, oh, it's not my company anymore, and not pay it, And I think that's kind of what happened here. I mean, I don't know the specifics, but I think what happened was when Disney bought Fox, that they bought Lucasfilm, they're basically like, well, that deal you had, that was with the old owners, not with us. And if that's the case, it could be easily manipulated by these big companies who have many heads that they can send it to.
And Disney is, of course, trying to hide the Scarlett Johansson situation. They want an arbitrator.
Right.
They're hoping it goes down the memory hole because people remember things for about 3 days, the general public, and then they forget all about it. So if it disappears from the media for about a week, it's gone. But this is coming from Gizmodo. Disney's attempts to move the debate away from the public eye, while unsurprising, haven't stopped organizations and public figures putting their support behind her lawsuit. Last night, Disney Must Pay Task Force, the Science Fiction Writers Association initiative for seeking proper royalty payments for writers, they threw in support. They released a statement. The Disney Must Pay Joint Task Force calls on Disney to respect Scarlett Johansson's professional and artistic work on the film Black Widow. The statement provided to press begins, the first way to respect Ms. Johansson is to pay her properly and not use the unethical contractual maneuvers to avoid payment. This is not the first time the task force has seen Disney attempt such twisting of contractual language.
Well, this is what they did with the Predator thing too. They use a loophole like, one little tiny detail was wrong, so we get a reset.
Yeah, and Disney is very good at this. I mean, a lot of bigger companies, bigger corporations are good at it, but Disney is faced every conceivable legal hurdle, I'm sure, over its many decades in business, and they understand the Hollywood machine. They work the rules.
They pay a lot of money in lawyer fees. Let's put it that way.
They've got some of the best lawyers in the world. Yeah, and like I said, we've talked to law firms before where they're like, we will deal with anybody except Disney. We won't deal with Disney. We're not even going to go there because we know how they do things, and even if you win, it's going to cost you so much.
Well, how many times has Disney, gotten copyright laws changed so that Mickey Mouse always says theirs and some of their characters?
Yeah.
I'm like, they never lose.
Yeah. Yep. So there we go, guys. Going to be really interesting to see what the fallout is. I mean, granted, this is a pretty recent development, but I do think we will see more A-list actors and directors staying away from Disney, whether it's...
Yeah. They might not come out and publicly support Scarlett Johansson, but you might see them like...
we're gonna just not even consider working on any Marvel or Star Wars stuff because we don't want to get screwed. So anyway, we're gonna wrap this one up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.